Okay, so this next game I need an award in, and this award needs to be granted to me for game most cheated in. And well, I think that makes it obvious. It's Shadow of the Erdtree. Yeah, if you see this random assortment of letters pop up, it's Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, because it wouldn't fit on one bit of text, which really annoyed me. It was really not satisfying. But yeah, I cheated a lot in this game, mainly because the game kept breaking for me. I couldn't really try everything out on multiplayer when I first started it. But originally, when I did first start it, it was like maybe a month after we finished the first playthrough, and it kind of didn't work. The multiplayer for the DLC, because one of the main things with the multiplayer at the time was the fact that summons didn't really work. Like, if you were being summoned into someone else's world, it was difficult to do. To the point where we actually couldn't figure out how to do it and ended up just doing it in our own worlds. Which kind of worked out, but kind of didn't. Which is where the cheating came in for me. Because for each item that you get for being summoned into a world, like Raptors of the Mist, that is an item you get for being summoned to go and help someone. And Dylan couldn't get that unless he got that in his playthrough. So I went, oh well, I can sort of figure this out. And I found a mod menu, which I used at the very end of the base game and then throughout all of the DLC. But the DLC has one major thing in it, and that's the second to last fight. Because you fight in a summoned battle against a bunch of enemies. And that fight is like an actual summoned thing. Like, you have to activate a sign. But you also have to go through that to fight Radahn, I'm pretty sure. So the game kind of breaks there if you can't summon into someone else's game. So that got fixed pretty quickly as well, I will say. The people that made the multiplayer mod in Elden Ring, they genuinely need multiple awards. They just went so hard in. But this took 3 characters. For me to complete all of the DLC, it took me 3 characters. Because the first one was lost time and the existence of a loading screen that for some reason wouldn't disappear. And then the second character had basically the same thing, but this time got stuck. And instead of being on the loading screen and just unable to get off of it, the game just wouldn't load the loading screen. But then the third character was completely fine and everything worked out perfectly. However, I did have to speedrun this game 3 times just to get to the point that it was at. I mean, technically it was only twice because we did get really far through the first time. I just wanted to finish some bits off. But yeah, I made it so obvious that we were going to cheat through this playthrough, so if anyone gets mad at that, then clearly you're being mad at the wrong people, because we do not care. I think that's what we started off the series by saying. It was just, we do not care, we like mods. And this just proved it massively. I mean, as you can see right there, that's an ability you get for beating Radahn, and we haven't beaten Radahn at this point. I gave myself every single item just to test it out. But when we started off the DLC, in the base game we went and we killed like every Remembrance boss, and basically every boss in the game except like 3. And then we just went and like completed the game. But we started off the DLC by fighting Millennia. And if you don't know Millennia, she's one of the remembrance bosses in the game that's very renowned for being the hardest boss to fight. And I would say we got our own back on her. I walked in the room and slash killed her essentially. I walked in and insta killed her because I really like that fight. It's still my favourite fight in the game. Although I know someone's fight changed, like someone I play with, their fight changed to Mesmer, because that is also a really fun fight. However, the pain that I've been through with Mesmer cannot be, like, understood. It is too much of an annoying boss fight for me now, even though I really, really enjoy it. But this DLC was genuinely really good, and if you want more Souls games or anything similar to a Souls game to play, buy Elden Ring and play the DLC. I genuinely... So, my brother, he plays through, like, some games, but he isn't really, like, he isn't big on games like I am. He just sort of plays them whenever he's got time, just as a bit of fun. And I basically just keep telling him to play this, because while he doesn't have much time, he does just enjoy, like, having a game with no limits, essentially. Now, granted, there is limits in this game, and the limits is how good you are. But that's what I would recommend Elden Ring to basically anyone, because, as you can tell by the existence of the other person I was playing through this game with, you don't have to be good to play it well. I mean, he got to the end of the game, and he had already played through the base game and the DLC, and just with the knowledge from that, he got really good at it. Like, I won't say too much about it because I don't want to boost his ego, but he got really good at Elden Ring by the end of it, to the point where I reckon if I had died in some of the boss fights, he would have easily been able to finish it, even if, like, it was just him. Now, granted, I did end up doing essentially exactly that whenever he died, which was probably why in the base game, I mean, it wasn't that good for him because he just kept dying and then I was just soloing the bosses. But during the DLC, I feel like by this point, everyone that would play the game kind of gets the feeling of it and they understand how it works a bit more, and it just makes it so much smoother. Which, as I'll say tomorrow, I didn't know where to put this game, which is why it's at the third spot. Because for people who know the next two games, you're going to have an interesting time guessing which way these two are going round. Given that I'm pretty sure Elden Ring was my game of the year for the year it came out. So with that being said, have fun guessing what tomorrow's game is, and I shall maybe see you then.